Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot. And also children can get overtired as well. Sometimes they won't
Yes.
sleep because they're
Yes.
too tired and they become restless as well.
Mm.
So getting that balance right is difficult. And people are organic, right?
Mm.
They live their life based upon a lot of things that are happening in the environment around about them. Yeah. She's just saying, like, last night I tried to count 100 sheep and I didn't fall asleep. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, yeah. And that's like, we had this talk about sleep yesterday. And what I said was that you've got to think, you've got to plan it in advance, right?
Mm.
Like, for example, somebody might say, okay, you should be in bed at 10 o'clock. Yeah. And okay, that's good, but I think that's only relevant if you've got up earlier and are tired because you've had a longer sort of day as well. So I think that you've got to plan these things in advance. It's not people don't look at the full picture. People just look at bedtime. But you've got to look at
Mm.
bedtime and wake up time as well. And you've got to understand that. And I think that I understand it. And this comes to the personal thing that I had. Like my parents would send me to bed at I don't remember what time, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, depending upon how old I was. And I would just lie in bed and just look at the ceiling for like an
Mm.
hour or 2 hours. And it's a bit of wasted time, really. You know,
Mm.
it's, I sort of think that if people can't sleep, they should. Well, there's like, okay, try to relax, and if you can relax, you'll gradually fall asleep. But if you got thoughts racing through your head, you know, it might be better to get up and do something. You know, to write something, paint something, have a look at a book, read something. Um, I'm not sure that watching a film at midnight is good for kids, but if you want to watch something 5 or 10 minutes long or whatever, I think that's you maybe okay. So Wallace and Gromit. Wallace and Gromit is some of those are a bit longer. I wouldn't advise watching them. Sort of later. There's a couple of them that are very short that maybe could be done, but yeah, the Were Rabbit's a long one. Okay, yeah. So this is all. Oh, you're gonna get all this stuff. It's all gonna come to you, right?
Mm.
So yeah, and parents want to avoid. You want to be. You want to be strict but fair,
Mm.
and that's hard because to be fair, you have to be open to all possibilities, but to be strict is to draw a line. They're almost opposites, and I think that's solved by creating the right environment. If you create the right environment for sleep, I think that sleep will happen in general. But I'm talking about after the age of 4 or 5, because when you're age one. Well, is it easy to sleep? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't, darling. There's a lot of crying. Babies cry a lot because they find it very difficult to get to sleep sometimes. Yeah. Also, when they wake up as well. Yeah, they wake up and their nappy is full of pee or poo, and it's really uncomfortable for them, and they start crying, and yeah, and, yeah, and crying is the baby's way of saying I love you, really. And
Mm.
that's how they they say it. It doesn't always come out like that, but it's their cry for help and attention, and that they need something. So it's um, it is, and parents always have that difficult choice to make where the baby is crying in the next room.
Mm.
Do I wait and do nothing and maybe the baby will cry herself to sleep? Or do I go there and do I see if the baby is okay? Because when the baby sees me, when those eyes are open and the baby sees me, the baby, will maybe wake up and not go to sleep at all. And there's no right answer. There's no right answer at all. And I think maybe the best thing to do is to try both. Sometimes do one and sometimes do the other, because you never know what's going to work in that kind of situation. So sometimes you need to go to the baby and be with the baby and cuddle the baby and make sure the baby's okay. And there's a lot of science about babies. There's a lot of science that the baby needs to be in the same physical space as the parents almost all the time. That it's very negative for a baby if the baby, especially under 2 years old, if they have their own room and they sleep in their own room under 2 years old. Yeah. So the people need to go and read the studies for themselves and work out what works for them. But there's a lot of studies that show the bonding relationship is stronger if the child sleeps in the same room as the parents. Now, this makes the parents' life more difficult, but that's the price we pay, right? And the science is the comparative lifestyles science, which is, if you look at, not that these are always great examples, but if you look at tribal examples in South America or in Africa or in some places in Indonesia, where or on some islands in the South Pacific, where families just have one building that they live in. They just have one place, and everybody sleeps, and they spend most of their time outside, so they're only inside a little bit of the time. And most everybody sleeps in the same space or the same area. Now there's obviously things you have to be aware of and things you have to be careful of, and there's health and hygiene and all these things to consider as well, which might not be good in that kind of situation. But it's worth remembering that bond and that connection is very important. It's not bad for the child to have their own room, but it's also good for the child as well sometimes to sleep with the parents and have that bonding time there as well. And there's a lot of biological transfer as well. What happens with things like the science of smell is really important. I have a smell. You have a smell. Everybody has a smell. Everybody smells different. And what children do is they learn to love the smell of their parents. They learn to love the smell of their parents from all the close contact. And then this smell, this feeling that comes from that, is what makes them feel comfortable, what makes them feel relaxed, what makes them feel safe, what makes them feel happy. And then later in life, when your daughter is 18, 19, 20, and she is looking for a partner, hopefully a boyfriend, because I'm a classical, traditional, conservative type. Yeah. What she's going to look for is that smell. She's going to look for that smell. And if the person has that smell, they're going to feel comfortable with that person. And that sense, that feeling comes from the early childhood bonding in the first 2 or 3 years with the parent and the close proximity and the close contact. Now, if the child always sleeps away from the parents, doesn't develop that sense of smell. And and this is especially important for girls, because it's very easy. Oh, bless you, bless you. It's very easy for the girl to pick up the scent of the woman, because the woman is breastfeeding, and there's always that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's very difficult for the girl in a lot of cases to pick up the scent of the father,
Mm-hmm.
because the father's not in such close proximity to the daughter, and that's why the father needs to sleep naked with the daughter in those first 2 years, and the daughter needs to sleep right next to the father to pick up that, not every night, of course, but every now and then, to pick up that scent and that feeling of comfort. And like sometimes Zora will crawl into bed here and give me a cuddle. Sometimes she will sleep in this bed. Sometimes she'll sleep in her own bed. Sometimes she'll sleep with mother, and our other daughter Jazz, same thing with her. And my son Will was the same up to the age of 5. My son Will would only fall asleep if I was there or my partner was there holding him in the bed. And yeah. Did you hear that?
No.
Didn't you hear that? Okay. She said that when my son was okay, so we've got little nails on our fingers and we've got nails on our feet, right? And she said that our son was on his feet, the nails were scratching Mum's back. Bum scratching her bum. She had to kick him out of the bed. Yeah. Now obviously there's a limit, and I think that at a certain point, sort of enough is enough. But we need to be open to this knowledge and this understanding that there's a lot of unconscious, subconscious, biological communication going on in families as well, and that close proximity is very important. I had a friend once who was a scientist, and he was talking about the smell of people, and he said there's actually books written on how a lot of the time you choose your partner based on smell, but it's subconscious. You're not even aware of it because there's a similar smell to what you remember as a child there. And it gets even more evolved than that, because if you have parents who smoke, then as a child, you recognize the smoke. So you look in later in life, you feel more comfortable with a partner who smokes.
Really?
Yeah. Because they smell it. The children smell it on your clothes. They smell it on your skin. Yeah, if you smoke. And what happens is the children are looking for that, whatever love is, comfortable bonding relationship with a partner when they grow up. And so they're looking for those senses. How do I feel? Yeah. And the sense of smell is one of those very, very strong, unique senses. And so, yeah, the children of parents who smoke will search for later in life for partners who smoke, just because of that influence. The same is true with alcohol. Yeah, the children smell the alcohol, right? And so when they choose a partner later in life, they feel comfortable, and they're like, when someone says "I love you," they're really not sure what they're saying, okay? Because there's like 1,000 different kinds of love. Yeah, saying "I love you" to someone is very similar to saying "I want to buy a car." Okay, because there's 1,000 different types of cars. Yeah, there's 1,000 different types, and they're all different. So so when someone says "I love you," it's a very abstract, it's a very intangible thing. What does that mean? That means I feel happy when I'm with you. I feel comfortable when I'm with you. Why do you feel comfortable? Because of the senses. Because it reminds you of how happy you were when you fell asleep in your mother's arms or your dad's arms when you were a kid.
Mm.
Yeah. And the people don't realize that. So yeah, the cigarettes affect the senses later in life. Alcohol affects the senses later in life. The all the senses are affected that way. A lot of children tend to follow some of the interests of their parents. The music that plays around children affects them. Yeah. If you got some gangster rap, it's
Mm.
going to affect the kids in a certain kind of way. Yeah. Probably going to grow up thinking everybody's against them or something. Yeah, it's important to, in some way, control the environment, and it doesn't come back straight away. It doesn't come around obviously. We're talking about something that what you do now with your daughter
Mm-hmm.
will come back around in her life when she's 40. It'll disappear into the ether and the subconscious and unconscious minds, and it'll come back to her when she's around 40 years old, in terms of ideas and thoughts and understandings and memories. Maybe faster if she grows up and has children younger.
Mm-hmm.
Women can have children between, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
18 and 38, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes that the younger you have children, the faster the whole process will speed up, because you certain memories will be triggered in your mind. And you, as a woman who is pregnant, you're just like the super sense of everything, right? So yeah, all those things. The music playing matters. The pictures on the wall matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy in the sense the pictures on the wall matter, because children stare at these pictures every day. And these pictures, in business, they talk about a vision board. Like, think about what you want to have in the future, and get your board and put little pictures of where you want to be and what you want to have, and vision board or your dream board or whatever, right? The walls of your home, and very specifically the walls of the children's room,
Mm-hmm.
are a dream board. A dream board. I guarantee you, if you have walls with light blue sea color and boats on it, your child will want to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Your child's going to see that every day. Think about that. What that does in the mind: a boat, a journey, an island, a place. It's massive. It's going to have a massive effect. It's going to have a massive effect on the on the development. If you have pictures of foreign places and stuff, and it's all, every image is important. Every page of every
Mm-hmm.
book is important. Every image is important, because it goes in and gets remembered by the child. And you think this shit doesn't come back? Look, what am I reading? What am I looking at? Right now. You think I didn't have some of that when I was a kid? Right? It's coming back around. Right? Star Wars and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all coming back around. All those experiences matter. The food that you cook, the smell in the air. Oh, that reminds me of my mother's cooking. Boom. Right? Suddenly you are psychologically transported to another place and another time by that smell. Yeah, the smell of fresh bread, or the smell of home-baked cookies with cinnamon and ginger. It's Christmassy kinds of smells. They take us to different places. Yeah, the smell of a pine forest and the little needles from the trees. Yeah, taste of the salt in the water. It's all gonna. It all comes back. It all comes back around later on. Look, that's why. See, I have that picture there. It's not by accident that picture is there. It's the journey, right? It's the journey. We're all going somewhere. So yeah, and every picture matters. As a child, I would walk around my parents' house, the big house. I would look at the pictures on the wall, and I was I would think about them, like, I wonder why that picture is there. I'd imagine being, because children are, for adults it's like, oh, it's a picture, but children are like, I wonder what's behind that tree in that picture. I wonder if I could walk into that picture. What yeah, I wonder if I could walk into that picture, what it would be like. Yeah, yeah. But it's so the children see things in a very different way. Well, adults are, you know how adults always see the problems? The children, like the adults are like, oh my God, don't do that. And the children are like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I guess adults are, don't cross the road there. Oh my God, no, wait. And the children, what are you talking about? It's daydreaming, yeah, daydreaming. Children daydream a lot, and they should. Children daydream a lot, and they should, because it's how the mind explores the world. It's important to learn things too. Like you have to do some learning, by the way. Oh, and which bad parenting going on. Uno momento. Which game are you playing, darling?